What? Hello, you lovelies. It is one of my favorite times of the year. It is the best of time of the year. I love looking back at the year at my favorites. I've already done a favorite comics of the year. I'm putting out a favorite music of the year, but this one is always very special. My favorite movies of the year. Now, I personally do a 24 for 2024, so this is a part 2. If you want to check out my 24 through 11, you can check out this video right here, but this is going to be my top 10 movies of 2024. Now, if you're new to this page, I cover comic book movies and TV. I read about 50 to 70 comics a week, and I break down my favorite 9 of those comics right here every single week. So hit that subscription bell if you're a comic book person. But I also love covering movies and television. I review the biggest movies of the week, and I do cover a lot of TV right here. So if you're just finding me, and if you love pop culture and any of that sounds interesting, hit that subscription bell. Also, if you are not new to my page, and if you like this video, and most of all, most importantly to me, I love having conversations, especially around favorites, because it's a great way to discover, 1, what someone's personality might be, what they like, 2, finding new things you might have missed, and 3, having a great civil conversation about what makes something your favorite. So please share with me in the comments below, what were some of your favorites this year? Did you agree or disagree with any of mine? Is there anything you think I missed? Let me know down there in the comments. All right, without further ado, I'm hoping I have time to edit this video, but it is currently December 30th, and I want this up before the new year. So my number 10, and holding it up here just in case I don't have time to edit, we've got, coming in at number 10, Nosferatu. Nosferatu I have seen twice already, and it is an experience. This is an oil painting come to life. This is an atmosphere. This is a vibe. This is a world. It is so dark and depraved and poetic and wonderful. It is full of amazing performances. I literally did not recognize Skarsgård at any point in the film. I didn't know it was him. The credits rolled and I discovered that I'd watched someone that I know the work of very well throughout a film. That is always an incredible experience to discover a new type of performance from an actor you admire. I also thought what Lily Rose Depp did here is sensational. Nicholas Hoult is always a delight, and he delivered an amazing performance. And I think Aaron Taylor-Johnson did such great work embodying a very difficult character to play, a likable bit of a ninny that's pushing people out but also trying to defend his friend. It's a fascinating role, and the whole ensemble is amazing. And Willem Dafoe in this, some of the dialogue he just gives us, some of the amazing moments he brings, astounding work. Ralph Ineson is also amazing, and the directing. Robert Eggers is one of those directors that you can count on bringing very bold and artful and specific work, but I think this is a wonderful blend of his style and an approachability I don't think you get in The Lighthouse or in The Witch, and even more approachable than Northman, but it doesn't sacrifice his integrity. He made his equivalent of a blockbuster, and it still feels so rich and full of life, even in death. I think this movie is a masterpiece. I think when we look back at the year, we're going to think about this one, we're going to think about Wicked, we're going to think about a certain sci-fi film that's later on this list. I think this is one of the formative films of the year, and a movie that's going to last decades of how important it is. And the bar was very high because Nosferatu is already legendary. So, number 10, Nosferatu. Coming in at number 9, we have a more independent film, but also a very dark film. It is, I mean, not that Nosferatu isn't independent, but this was a very small film that really, really affected me. I saw The TV Glow. I Saw The TV Glow is hard to describe without sounding hyperbolic. I had a very intense experience in this film because I felt like I was actually on drugs. I felt like odd sensations. I felt, not quite out of body, but I did that thing where you look at your hands and you're like, what is reality? It felt so immersive and so oddly disorienting. And I love that it kind of Mandela affected memories into your mind. It uses nostalgia, and it uses specifically 90s nostalgia to kind of weaponize iconography into your own mind to make you think you remember stuff, and it does it in such creative ways. I do remember some of the elements in the film, just enough that the new elements, I'm not sure where that line in the sand is. I love not knowing. I love the experience of this film. I love that it's a very aggressive film that doesn't really let up. I love that it stays mysterious. I love that it plays with tropes so well that the humor can work or not depending on what decade you're from and whether or not you connect to certain other art. I love that it is art that is reflecting our experience of watching art, the importance of TV, film, any art. It is just such a celebration of the darkness and light that we get from the experience of shared emotion. that I consider art. I had a great time with it. I think Justice Smith has a very, very, very interesting career. I really enjoy. I just watched a movie with him, Sharper, that I really enjoy, but obviously he's hilarious in Dungeons & Dragons. He's done great work in Detective Pikachu, but here you get to see his more dramatic side. I was very impressed with him in this. Bridget Lundy Payne, I did not know her work. I was unaware of her game. She is spectacular. It is largely just a two-person led film with a surprise cameo by a certain very nostalgic rock star. I did not expect Fred Durst to pop up, but when he did, nothing could have prepared me for a random Fred Durst. Love this film, love the experience of watching it. It's a great movie that I probably won't watch again for a very long time. It really affected me. I left the theater and had to go get soft serve McDonald's as a coping mechanism. It rattled me to that level, and I loved feeling that I needed to shake a film because it was so effective. What a good movie. Really, really enjoyed. I saw the TV glow. Let's go completely in the opposite direction. That is the power of movies, going from one independent, small, darker, emotionally devastating film to an emotionally driven bit of joy that I could not have expected to make my top 10. I didn't expect a sequel to Twister to hit me as hard as Twisters. I love Twisters. It is number 8 of the year for me. The first film meant so much to me. I watched it so much with my family. It is such a fun time. It is such a spectacle. I really thought it was nostalgia-based, how much I love that film. And some of it probably is. You can't really ever separate that fully, but me and my family always tested our new surround sound system. Like, our first surround sound was tested on Twister, and then anytime we got a new sound thing, we test on Twister. So it's a bit of my family specifically. Twister has had a high bar to climb with that kind of reverence, and it did it. Glenn Powell is such a movie star. He's got 2 films in my top 24. Check out my other video for my thoughts on Hitman. Here, he shows he's an action movie star, the likes of which, obviously, we saw him do in Top Gun, but on par with anyone working right now. He is so good in this. He is you can rest the weight of a film on his shoulders. He is so interesting. He is so captivating. He is such a dynamic performer. And here, Daisy Edgar Jones also, my God, she is fascinating. I cannot wait to see what she does. Her career is one I will immediately watch because of her performance in this. I really enjoyed Anthony Ramos as this third wheel that is playing as such, playing a bit of that duplicitousness very, very well. I also think what we get out of Brandon Pereira is not talked about enough. That dude is bringing so much energy and likability to a very, very specific performance that I think Boone could have been a lot less in lesser hands. I also think we get just a little bit of Sasha Lane, who's been great in a lot of independent stuff. Love seeing her get more of a household name. Another very small performance that is a great one from David Cornsweet. This whole ensemble is amazing. I'm excited to see his Superman, but it was really cool to see him in a very different role here and get a sense for the dude's presence on screen, which he absolutely has. But it is really Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones that anchor a film that could have been a silly action movie, but it's the directing also from Lee Isaac Chung that knows how to make this heartfelt. This feels like Amblin. This feels like one of the movies that you grow up watching. I hope a new generation gets to grow up watching this one. I hope that people realize how much emotion you can put in a blockbuster, how you have to connect to these characters to care about them in these insane situations, and you absolutely care about these characters. I think it does an amazing job balancing a lot of different tones, comedy, action, adventure, drama. You're invested in the world of Twisters so quickly. It made me I own the vinyl. I don't even much listen to country music, but I loved the movie and the experience of watching it so much. When I hear that music, it brings me back to that joy. I was born in Virginia. I moved to the north when I was 5, and it was so quick that I thought of when I went home is there's not much to do, and watching this movie I was like, man, did I make the right choice? Obviously I didn't move myself at 5, but it was interesting to be man, this seems like a wonderful world, this culture, this livelihood, this energy, and that's a good movie. If you can feel a sense of culture and personality from a film about a place, and then you've got all the romance and love and action, man, I love Twisters. I love it so much. Number 8, Twisters. Number 7, a movie that I was really worried about. It made my most anticipated of the year, but I was worried it wouldn't be able to live up to its predecessor. It is a sequel of sorts, but it's also the 5th movie in an installment of sorts. It is Mad Max story, Furiosa. The movie Furiosa is so special in that the movie itself, if you didn't ever have Mad Max or Fury Road or any of the other stuff in the Mad Max saga, Furiosa is this insane opera. It is so fascinatingly paced. It has an unreliable narrator in really interesting ways. It is this big, bold movie with interstitials. It is bold in its longevity, in its pacing, in its style, in the way it's told. Everything about this movie is bold. And then it's got amazing performances from Anya Taylor-Joy, from Chris Hemsworth, playing completely against how we think of him. It is worthy of Fury Road's big, bold world building. I'm always afraid when you go back and tell the story that over-explains the fun of the mystery. And I was so worried about learning too much about Bullet Town or too much about, like, the war with Gasoline and anything too much, really. So I was worried about this film, but I trust and love in George Miller. I love the Mad Max movies growing up. I like Fury Road even more. Fury Road is one of my only 20... I've made my letterbox, I only have 25 5-star films. I've only ever given 25 films a perfect score of 5 stars. Fury Road is one of them. And so this is not a 5-star, this was 4, but it is an exceptional A-. It is such a special experience, and to live up to a 5-star film, to follow it all these years later and be as amazing as this was. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy embodied Charlize Theron so much at points that I was like, I could see her eyes. I really was captivated by the amount of veracity and energy and the transformation into Furiosa. It's a fantastic film. I was so impressed with the color palette chosen, with the action being so dynamic. Again, reinventing the wheel isn't easy, and I think Furiosa is something very, very special. Coming in at number 6, we've got The Wild Robot, one of the most emotionally devastating experiences I had in a theater. This movie wrecked me. This is pure emotion. It is like a poem. It is like a song. It is something that gets inside you and grows. You care so much about these animals. You care so much about Lupita Nyong'o's Wild Robot. She also has 2 movies in my top 24. She's also in A Quiet Place Part 1, which is my number 24. There's so much humanity in her performance, and it's not an easy performance to go from earnest, serving robot trying to make sure, like, Surrey, it's doing everything you need, into self-aware but also still robotic, while also evolving empathy, and the empathy towards the goose and the amount of connection you feel between the two of them, the maternal connection. You've also got some incredible supporting characters in all of the other animals. You have the insanity of the fox, Fink, I believe is his name, played by Pedro Pascal. Yeah, Fink. I really love Bill Nye's Longneck. What an emotionally devastating twists and turns connecting to him. Stephanie Hsu absolutely crushed. Matt Berry is hilarious, the moments he has. Ving Rhames should do voice work constantly. It is so incredible. Catherine O'Hara had a great year of being so funny and bringing her back into the main zeitgeist. I was just really impressed top to bottom. The animation is literally like seeing a painting born in front of your eyes, and it moves and evolves throughout the journey. It is all of the emotion I got out of Iron Giant as a kid, with today's technology flexing at the height of its powers, plus the connection to animals and nature and that wonder and that majesty. It did all the things I needed it to do. I was a wreck. I loved the feeling of watching this movie. My number 6 is The Wild Robot. All right, we're getting into my top 5. Now, Wild Robot, I give, personally, I gave 4.5 stars. That's my first 4.5 star. This is my next 4.5 star. And then there's one more. There are, per me personally, I didn't give any 5-star films this year. Things got close, but let's go into my top 5 of the year. Coming in at number 5 is Civil War. This is, to me, a masterpiece from Alex Garland. This is a movie that I was really emotionally differently devastated by. It didn't make me cry. It didn't make me angry. It didn't give me any of the usual emotions I get when I'm emotional. I struggle to cry in movies. I want to. I just don't have that outlet. I'm emotionally constipated. But I love when I can cry in a movie. It's just rarer than I'd like. This movie didn't make me feel the usual emotions of pure joy or anger or sadness or any of those things. It just hit me in the bones and made me feel like this hollow sense of loss and mourning. And I think it was like some of the imagery is like you're reading a history book about a war, but it's the present. It's like seeing what we would look at the past of today. It's like an agricultural experience. And I love that it was neutral party. It was a bipartisan, we don't know who the bad guy is. It's that we fight. It's that we have a civil war against ourselves, is that we don't see each other. And that's more prevalent than ever. I'm not going to get into politics in this top 10, but I will say that seeing our animosity towards each other, especially with how much work I have to do online, with how much of the internet is in my brain, is terrifying. So seeing a movie of what could happen, one wrong step, one thing goes awry, it was super impactful. I was emotionally devastated, like I said, in a very hollow, unique way. Kaylee Spenny is amazing. I was so impressed with this take from Kirsten Dunst. She is incredible in this. I had never seen Wagner Moura before, and he is absolutely amazing. I love that we don't know who's in the right, who's in the wrong. We just know that things are wrong, and we're seeing it from the third party, which is why I love the neutrality of the film. if you're a wartime photographer, you can't really pick a side. If you're watching this film as the perspective of the wartime photographers, you don't know the side you're on because you need to be neutral and be an observer. It was devastating to observe this world, and it really affected me, and it's in my top 5. Alex Garland is, I've never seen Men, but I loved Ex Machina. I think his filmography is incredible. Dread, which he obviously worked on in a different capacity by how we know of it. Annihilation, I adored. I'm so excited for 28. Years later, as a lover of 28 Days and Months, Civil War, number 5 comfortably, probably the most hard-hitting drama for me this year. It didn't need to say, this is what I believe. It just said, like, hey, we need to work on our stuff because I believe this will end things poorly. And seeing America in that state really affected me. And seeing our modern day one wrong step away from devastation that isn't as blindly ending as a dystopia. It wasn't a nuclear fallout. It wasn't the things you see in movies a lot. It was the slow incremental fall of the empire that is America, and it was terrifying. Civil War, number 5. Coming in at number 4, very different pivot. We're going to go to a lot more fun and free-spirited, is a movie that I feel like in 5 years we're going to look back on like we should have been nicer to that movie. This feels like they finally made The Nice Guys 2 for all the people that say The Nice Guys is one of their favorite movies, myself included. I love The Nice Guys. I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I love Shane Black humor. I love action comedies. I want more of them. The Fall Guy gave me all of that and a genuinely good romance. This movie, not getting enough love, man. I feel like that's going to be the review from a lot of people that loved it. I wish this had done exceptionally because I think it deserves it. This should be a franchise. Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling's chemistry is amazing. Ryan Gosling is one of the funniest dudes working right now. He is hilarious and charm incarnate. Aaron Taylor Johnson as Tom Cruise, effectively as a dude that does his own stunts. I think Tom Cruise does. I'm not insulting Tom Cruise that way, but playing a Tom Cruise type, he is so good at being a douche nozzle. I really enjoyed that performance from him. I love seeing Hannah Waddingham in anything, and she is such a great studio hard ass. The brief moments we get with Stephanie Hsu are delightful. I love her in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. What this movie does is reminds you why you love blockbuster movies, and it does it while being a blockbuster movie, while loving on stunt people. I have done stunts in my career, and I really, really respect, admire, and appreciate all those men and women that absolutely massacre their bodies for our entertainment, and the fact that the Academy hasn't given them something, anything, is insane to me, as they are such an integral part of movies, especially the further we get into action and the way movies are today. As soon as the mask goes on, that is a stunt person, and there's a lot of mask movies. My point is, this is a movie not just celebrating stunt people, which is a huge part of this movie, but it's celebrating movie making. This is like Oscar films a lot of times go to, like, the movie maker's movie, like Inside Baseball stuff. This is the fun version of that. This is the celebration of that. This is a swashbuckling, romancing the stone action comedy meets a Shane Black dialogue with actual stunt people. This movie should have done way better and should get more love. The Fall Guy is comfortably going to be rounding out our top 4, going in to the top 3. Ryan Gosling, thank you for all you've done for cinema. David Leitch, thank you for directing and loving stunt folk. David Leitch being the stuntman of Brad Pitt 1999 Fight Club, and then becoming a stunt coordinator and now director, directed Bullet Train, directed Deadpool 2, directed all sorts of stuff. He wants stunt people to get their love. 87 North is an amazing community and an amazing stunt team. The Fall Guy. Watch it if you haven't. All right. Those are my 4. These are my top 3. These 3, actually these 4, Fall Guy included, any other year, The Fall Guy had been my number 1 for quite a while. Any other year, these 4 could be my number 1, but these are all 4.5 stars. These all could be number 1. Like I said, any other year, these are all masterpieces. That was the start of it with number 4 with Fall Guy. Number 3 is, I love this movie, and it's the one that I'm yelling from rooftops because I feel like it's the one that no one, to the scale of the other 3, will be talking about because it is a smaller independent film, and it's very specific to me. It is Kneecap. Kneecap is a film about an Irish hip-hop trio that became so impactful, for better and worse, to the government of Ireland, and I say that in a loving manner, not being from Ireland. The language Irish was not actually the national language of Ireland until 2022, and these fellows had a large part in that becoming the language of Ireland. Irish is a dying language. Irish is so beautiful and not as used as it should be. If you go to Ireland, and I love going to Ireland, the north of Ireland, like, the street signs will change and you'll experience a bit of it, but you won't hear it as much. These guys rap in Irish, and it is so incredible to see a film where not only are they playing themselves and keeping up with Michael Fassbender, who speaks Irish beautifully in the film, but they're playing themselves in like the real time of today. They just played Glastonbury this year. These guys are actively still rapping and doing everything, and their album's amazing. Fine Art is such a good album. It's one of my favorite albums of the year. It came out last year, so it didn't make my top 5, but Fine Art is one of my most listened to albums of the year. These guys are incredible. They play themselves, and they tell their own story. So imagine your favorite biopic, but it's about the people that are actually playing themselves, and they're actually good actors. It's staggering what this movie accomplishes. And I love that hip-hop is about raising awareness and raising voices, and it is about the community that is usually ostracized, and there's nothing more than that, than a language that is dying in its own country, and the power of hip-hop is astounding. The balaclava wearing dude is literally a school teacher in real life, got fired, and was taking the equipment from the school to make the beats for these guys, and then these guys started like touring from that humble beginning, and then grew so much it helped change legislation in Ireland. And this is all a true story, where these guys play themselves. Michael Fassbender's in it, he's amazing. I could talk about this movie for an hour. Check out my review, it's on this page. I want everyone to see Kneecap. Again, in another year, this could have been number 1. It is so fun. It is, imagine if Straight Outta Compton, all of the original members played themselves. Like, it is crazy. If NWA, I mean, Ice Cube's kid played him, but like, if they played themselves all those years later, the impact of that movie and how good that movie was. This is that modern day Ireland hip-hop. It's amazing. Watch this. See Kneecap. It's astounding. Watch my review. It's on this page. Kneecap's on Netflix. As of right now, watch it. Trust me. I think it's Netflix. Netflix or Amazon. It's on one of the streamers for free. Highly recommend. Number 2, I've talked about this movie a lot, so this review might be a little shorter because you're going to expect it. This is the one you probably think is my number 1. Deadpool and Wolverine. Everything led to this. My career led to this. I started hosting because of Deadpool. I talked about multiversal theory and wanting a movie that came out like this. I love the Fox universe because that's what I thought, that's the first real universe that we got in a shared universe setting. Spider-Man came out first, but then X-Men grew and became this whole thing. I grew up in these movies. This movie became a love letter to Fox. It was a love letter to not just 2 of my favorite characters ever, but to superhero films to scale. It's wicked funny. It's one of the most comic-y things ever. Each act of this film is an insane comic book accomplishment. The first act, multiversal, multiple Wolverines, and an incredible cameo with Henry Cavill. The second act brings us absolute insanity of like the elseworld nature of getting actors that were cast that didn't get their due, but getting their due as an arc. Like seeing Gambit, Channing Tatum, seeing Elektra come back, seeing Wesley frickin' Snipes, who did, in my opinion, start all modern day. Christopher Reeve started the whole movement. The modern stuff, I give full credit to Wesley Snipes. Blade 2, 1998, preceded all of this stuff, started this movement, seeing Wesley Snipes get to come back, seeing all of that as a team, alongside Hugh Jackman and Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds obviously as Deadpool. And then the third act, the escalation of the visuals and the full multiversal fight with all the Deadpools. Like, this movie does all the comic things in one film while being hilarious, while fixing some continuity, while creating some chaos, while being self-aware, by being the only movie that Deadpool can make to make a commentary on the multiversal stuff. Literally 25 years led to this. Kevin Feige made sure Hugh Jackman's hair was right on the set of X-Men when he was a producer on that. 25 years later, we got him in the yellow suit, and on that journey, everything that is superhero cinema is a part of this DNA. This movie, I love. You can watch a non-spoiler, out of the theater, full spoiler. All those reviews are on this page, so I'm not going to talk about this and this much. You know my thoughts. I love this movie. I'm so happy it exists. 4.5 stars. One of my favorite superhero films because of everything that led to it and because of the movie itself. And Sean Levy balancing heart, giving it heart. Could have just been a comedy. I appreciate this film so very much. And Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. It's beautiful to see this amazing culmination and him get to play in that world that he fought for so hard. My number 1 movie of the year is a movie that, if 4, The Fall Guy gave me the romance and comedy I love in movies and gave me a love letter to stunts and filmmaking itself. 3 gave me a love letter to the underdogs, to hip-hop, to Ireland, to so many other things I love very much. I'm not from Ireland, but I feel at home when I'm there, and that movie is a love letter to the language, to the people, to hip-hop, to literally so many things I love outside of talking about movies. 2 is me. 2 is a love letter to comic book movies, to comic books, to multiversal things, to this whole community of comic book stuff. It's a celebration of comic books and comic book film. So what could be higher than that? This movie made me understand a whole culture. I did not understand the world of Star Wars as the fandom it is today. Dune made me get it. George Lucas, obviously very heavily inspired by Dune, and this movie is so good that I went, oh, I get Star Wars. I get the fandom. I get learning language. I get the passion. I get investing in that world, because this is such a powerful experience. It, on top of all that, is a commentary on colonization, on capitalism, on religion and zealotry, and the violence that comes from believing in something written a long time ago and following it to a T. It is about idolship in a dangerous way that is entertaining. It is about the dangers of manipulation and following idols and not believing in your own journey, and the dangers of fate, and what it is to be someone beholden to others. And it does all of this while being a sci-fi opera, while being something full of scope and wonder. And it does all this while telling a captivating story that we have no connection to other than these two films, unless you've read the books, obviously. But you can just watch these two films and have this entire backstory of Lassan El Gaib. You can have the humor of that incredible performance from not Anton Chigurh. Sorry, I've been talking for like half an hour now, so my brain is a little fried. That incredible performance that is so funny but so charming from Javier Bardem. You've got the incredible Josh Brolin, and that performance that is so commander paternal, because we lost Oscar Isaac in the last one, that is the concerned watcher over all this. And then one of the best villainous performances in a decade. Austin Butler is so good as we're new to this film, Harkonnen. His part as Fade Rautha, that is physical but also terrifying in silence. That black and white sequence that has just washed out color. I'll never forget that fight. And all of that with this giant feeling, this giant orchestral energy of the music and the cinematography. This movie is beautiful. Greg Fraser shot this so well. Denis Villeneuve is, alongside Fincher, my favorite director working. Like Fincher, Denis, Nolan, like these are the people that I will always see and always admire their work. And Denis, Prisoners is probably my favorite Denis film, but this is right there with it as such an impact, overwhelming emotion, such a great cautionary tale. Rebecca Ferguson in this is so fascinating. Her arc, her descent into madness, her belief in this corrupting concept, the dangers of religion, the dangers of just following this path. It's an overwhelmingly good movie. I love that it ends. I love that it ends with the dangers of someone starting to buy their own hype in a more broad setting. Like, we see it every day, and people like fake it till you make it. And then he didn't believe in what was coming, and then, like, if Luke Skywalker went to the dark side, but because he was told he was always going to. The predestination element of storytelling is always fascinating to me, and this uses it and subverts it, and it was first. This came out, so long ago. So good. I love good, rich sci-fi. I love this feels like a place I could visit but wouldn't want to. I'd never want to go to Arrakis, but I feel like I can. I love that it deals with drug culture in a fascinating way. I love that the spice flows. I think of fear being the mind killer all the time when I'm afraid of something or adrenaline about something. I get Dune, is what I'm saying, because of this movie. Dune got me into headier sci-fi. And I already loved Blade Runner 2049 from Denis, and this feels like an even more evolved sci-fi. So this one is number one because it helped me understand a full culture that I always liked Star Wars. I grew up watching Star Wars, but I was always like, I read comics, I don't really get this world. And this is so good that I still don't get it, but it makes me go, oh, I could see it. That's fascinating. So Dune Part 2 is my number one of the year for a multitude of reasons. I feel like I wasn't as articulate as I could have been with Dune in particular because I am exhausted. It's the 30th right now, and I want to get this up for New Year's tomorrow, and I have to edit this and the Part 2 or Part 1, whichever. So I apologize. Check out my Dune review on this page if you haven't seen it already, Dune 2. If you want more articulate thought, I got like a 10-12 minute review on this very page. I hope, if you're new to this page, you enjoyed the way I break things down. These are my 10 favorite movies of 2024. If you're not new to this page, thank you for being a part of this, and hopefully you enjoy the ride of having been here. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what your top 10 was. Mine was, at number 1, Dune Part 2, Deadpool and Wolverine at number 2, Kneecap at number 3, The Fall Guy at number 4, Civil War at number 5, The Wild Robot at number 6, Furiosa at number 7, Twisters at number 8, I Saw the TV Glow at number 9, and Nosferatu at number 10. Check out my part 1 of this for 11 through 24 if you haven't seen it already. It's going to be right there. Also, I appreciate each and every one of you for being with me all year. This is the end of 2024. I hope your 2025 is amazing. We got a lot to do. I'm going to keep growing this page. We've got to do a 50 comic giveaway when we hit 50K. This week, I'm doing a Creature Commandos episode 6 review, probably doing a most anticipated 2025 video, doing some comic stuff for sure. All of that coming to this page after I get a little rest tomorrow for the new year. So that is going to do it, you lovelies. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for existing, as well as for this incredible year in movies. What a year in cinema it's been. Again, let me know in the comments below what you thought of these and what you dug this year. Much love. I'll see you guys soon. Happy New Year!